So we have a bit of a weird fight here at middleweight. Michael Venom Page going to be taking on Jared Cannonier. 19. I believe this is the Hamzat versus Drickus card. And bit of a surprise one, this one. I really would beat to stay at middleweight. And he's got himself in a bit of a tricky fight here. I don't see Michael Venom Page beating Jared Cannonier simply because I can just see Jared Cannonier stalling against the cage and beating Michael Venom Page exactly the way Storley did back in Bellator. I can just see that so happening because Jared Cannonier is going to have, you know, a bit of a more physical advantage against. Literally look at these two. Cannonier's fucking wham, and Venom Page looks like he's a 170. Let's start with Michael Venom Page here. So MVP is coming off a win against Sharon Magomedov, which I predicted, by the way. He beat Carlos Condit in a grappling match. It was actually pretty impressive, and he came off that decision loss to Ian Gary, which a lot of people thought he won. I haven't watched that fight in a while, but I do remember thinking MVP couldn't nick that there. I do remember thinking that. Okay, I do remember thinking that. He got an insanely good win against Kevin Holland, which is aging very well considering Kevin Holland can, you know, beat people like Gunnar Nelson. Kevin Holland just won the weekend as well. It's just a bit like, you know, he beat Vicente Luque, sorry, Kevin Holland. It's just a bit like MVP definitely has a striking advantage in this fight, and I don't really see Cannonier being able to get massively close to Page, but I don't necessarily see Michael Venom Page being able to stop Jared Cannonier kind of running over there and getting him up against the cage and like a takedown, like a shitty single leg. MVP has to kind of like, you know, try and stuff the takedown. Cannonier gets him up against the cage, and he's too strong. Because you got to remember, before he got finished by Imavov, that's what Cannonier was doing a lot. He was doing a lot of that in that fight against Imavov. As much as that was an absolute, you know, fucking robbery, like, as much as that was a robbery, Cannonier has actually been in here with some of the best fighters in literally the fucking world. So he lost to Robert Whittaker. You lose to Mbrahu, you lose to Imavov, sorry. You get a nice win against Sean Strickland, which was quite questionable. You beat people like Derek Brunson, Marvin Vettori. Cannonier is 100% a staple in the division. Okay, and Michael Venom Page, as much as he had success against Sharon Magomedov, I honestly thought that fight, I picked MVP in that fight, and the video was there. You can go back and watch it because I broke down the full card on that one. Adesanya versus Imavov one. I picked MVP to win. I just thought MVP striking was way too good. Like, if it's a straight stand-up, man, I don't think anyone beats MVP. I would have said Wonderboy, but now I don't even think Wonderboy beats MVP. I think Michael Venom Page is probably a top 5 striker in the UFC, if not top 3, if I'm being completely honest with you. The dude's movement is so elusive, okay? And I was saying this to my friend earlier. I honestly think Michael Venom Page would probably beat Robert Whittaker. I honestly think he would actually beat Whittaker. It's such a different style, and I know you're going to say, oh, well, Robert Whittaker actually beat Jared Cannonier. You don't know what you're talking about, kid. That was fucking shit. I don't know why I did that, but I'm gonna keep it in anyway. You're gonna say that. Styles make fights. Styles make fights. If you know, you know. Robert Whittaker isn't gonna hold him up against the cage. He's gonna try standing there. No, Whittaker can play the slow game like he did against Darren Till, but no one's going to be able to outpoint, you know, MVP in a striking match. Sharon Magomedov didn't do it. I don't think anyone would be able to do it, if I'm being completely honest with you. I think he's just way too elusive, way too slick, way too smart on the feet. Like, he's a top 3 striker in sport. I genuinely think that. Like, the dude is so good with his movement and his strikes and his ability to move in and out. Like, he's kind of like, I don't even know how you describe MVP's movement in and out, but it's just an absolute pleasure to watch. You know, the jumping jack style that KSI adapted against Tommy Fury came from Michael Venom Page. A lot of people, yeah, so the jumping jack style KSI got from the Tommy Fury fight literally came from Michael Venom Page. If you even watch some of his fights, you'll understand where that came from. So I just think Cannonier is going to be too strong for Michael Venom Page, and I think he'll be able to just hold him up against that cage. I honestly think, you know, wrestling wise, Cannonier is definitely better. I don't think it's quite, you know, hard to be a better wrestler than Michael Venom Page, if I'm being honest. Like, I don't think he's a great wrestler, but I don't think he's a bad wrestler. Do you know what I mean? The dude, he's never been submitted as far as I know. And Jared Cannonier is was a heavyweight, was a light heavyweight, and now is a middleweight. So the dude is not lacking any strength. Okay, and Michael Venom Page is not going to be used to that. He's not going to be used to that. And I honestly think it is actually a bit of a smart move for MVP to move up, because you have people like Bilal, you have people like Shavkat in there, you have people like Buckley in there, you have people like Colby in there, you have people like Brady in there that are going to wrestle. They're going to wrestle. Shavkat mightn't wrestle as much as the rest of them, but Shavkat's still going to shoot a takedown on MVP, in my humble opinion. And I think moving up to middleweight, you know, Jared Cannonier is one of the top contenders in the division. It's a good style to get in there to the top mix. And then if when Robert Whittaker beats Rainer the Ritter, you could match them up. And before you know it, MVP's in a number one contender fight, in a title fight. Khamzat Chimaev would absolutely butcher him. Okay, that isn't even close. That, just thinking about that now, I'm like, wow. Khamzat could be the champion. You know, Dricus will probably beat him. I don't see MVP becoming a champion. I don't see him becoming a champion. But I think he's going to win this. No, I don't think he's going to win this fight. Sorry. I think he can win stylistic matchups. I think he can win people that aren't going to go in there and wrestle. And I feel like even like Vittoria, even though he's heavy wrestling, I don't trust Vittoria to get him down. I just trust Jared Cannonier to stall this one out in probably a 3-rounder or so. I'm going Jared Cannonier 29-28. But let me know what you think down below, and thanks for watching.